Howdy, hi, and hello everyone. Welcome back to Noah's Nest. If you don't know what Noah's Nest is, first of all, hi, I'm Noah. I'll be your host. And in this show, I do a couple different things. I either talk about different TTRPGs and teach you how to play them or kind of give some advice on certain ones that might help you. Or I talk about random ass fantasy topics that can encompass any forms of media. That could be movies, TV shows, books, and more. And today, it's kind of a combination of both, and it is a nice push-poke thing to the name of the podcast, Creatures and Cantrips. And today, I'm going to talk about cantrips, but not in high fantasy, not medieval, but in non-fantasy settings. Think of sci-fi, steampunk, cyberpunk, and maybe even a couple more. So firstly, let's talk about what even is a cantrip. Really, what is it? Some people think it's just a small power that can be reused over and over again. Some of it think it is more flavorful and it is more unique. But if we're going just based off of the definition, a cantrip is used in traditional fantasy RPGs, just like Dungeons and Dragons. It is a minor magical spell that can be used freely. Think of Mage Hand, Light, Thaumaturgy, or even the big one, Prestidigitation. They're often used for utility, they can be used for flavor, and sometimes they have small effects that can add different styles and depths to your character. But at its core, a cantrip is kind of more than just a rulebook mechanic. It is a small power that can feel innate. It represents low risk, repeatable, and often uniquely tied to the different flavors of your world and your character. So if we happen to strip all of that away, take out the whole entire magic feel as we know it, what is left? It can be a trick, a gadget, a glitch, maybe even a habit that you've learned, or you even tapped into a different type of psychic power. So let's first start off in a repeatable one-shot state that we have done in Creatures and Cantrips. It is sci-fi. Now, the sci-fi setting, a cantrip might not be used to be magic at all. It can be a tech, implants, nanobots, augments, etc. I got some examples. So something could be like a personal drone assistant that could pick up items or move from place to place pretty easily. Or a hollow projector wristband that can create tiny illusions. A chip that can let you manipulate different levels of your visor or the different lights in areas. And even a circuit board that lets you send out a small EMP that could have a pulse or a spark or even interact with different electronics. The feeling of the cantrip still remains in this. It's fast, flavorful. It doesn't use a lot of brain power to use it, or charge, or fuel, but it is still compatible with sci-fi. You can use it for a base cyberware package, or even a default feature in your faction's tech. Simple systems like Those Dark Places, Stars Without Numbers, or even Mothership. All of these ideas can help easily layer the different effects through the background and maybe even custom class perks. Now, we'll get out of space and we'll go back in time to my favorite type of setting, which is steampunk. Cantrips can be used in different forms of inventions, maybe even alchemists, tinkers, to make it more scientifically fun. So some examples I got are a retractable brass monocle that could help you identify different materials or items, a clockwork bird, cat, dog, whatever, that could record and replay different sounds. You could have gloves that emit like a static shock, and maybe even a device that disperses scents for distractions or even comfort. In the world where steam and sometimes sorcery intermingle, cantrips can be used as workings of the tinkers, alchemists, and or professors, where they can add color and function to a setting that kind of blends elegance, danger, and inventions all together. So, we went to space, we went back in time, now let's go straight into the future. Cyberpunk. It is kind of where maybe even minor magic and technology blend together to make it already weird enough. Think of a biohacker with a minor aura filter that adjusts different emotional energies. Or a corporate mage whose tablet interfaces can scan auras and different surveillances and maybe even disrupt them. A digital witch who manipulates glitchy effects to confuse cameras, send ghost texts, or even change their own digital signature. Or even a cantrip level spell called Smudge, where it blurs your appearance just enough to be unrecognizable. Here, cantrips can be called a more street magic. Not powerful, but more clever. They're tools of rogues, runners, rebels, and maybe even mystics. And in narrative-focused games, they can become the tiny edge where you need to survive. Games like Shadowrun, The Sprawl, or even Urban Shadows can easily accommodate these different cantrip styles to power through the different playbooks, moves, and even creative hacks. Now, there are some that I haven't talked about, but maybe you want to just design some cantrips in non-fantasy. So how would you design it yourself? Ask some of these questions. What is the source of your power for these cantrips? Is it more technology-based? Is it biology-based? Vibes? Was there some type of core that was created? What is the source of it? Next, what can the effect do to add style but not power? So, you don't want to take these different cantrips from Dungeons and Dragons like Firebolt or Witch Bolt, Chaos Bolt. There's a lot of bolts that I just now remember. But think of more Mage Hand, Prestidigitation, Thaumaturgy, Minor Image, and all of these other ideas, all these other cantrips. How can you make that fit into your setting? And how does this effect reveal something about the world? Now, in different settings and gameplays, there are different bases on how magic and spells and cantrips work. Like in medieval times, they're just an innate magic somehow. But in sci-fi, maybe you're just doing a normal human, like those dark places. You're just a regular person. Well, How does this make it relevant to the world if you want to add in cantrips? And then after you ask some of those questions, try and think of some of the terms or senses and aesthetic. So what could the sound of the cantrips have? Static, distortions, maybe even signal bloops. Some visual cantrips could be like a minor hologram, light refraction, maybe even a pattern projection. Or maybe even depends on the environment, where you could adjust the room temperature, pressure, or even soundproofing it. Some ideas can be loop cast, replays the last 5 seconds of the sound in a room. Skin print, changes your palm pattern for about 30 seconds. Ink strike, emits a puff of ink used by artists, hackers, and spies. Or maybe even a data whisperer, tells you if a nearby device is watching or even listening. Think small, think flavorful, and think world building. These powers can help people live with maybe even everyday, non-dramatic moments until your characters make them moments. Now, one of the most powerful things about including cantrips to these different non-fantasy games is how it shapes the tone. In fantasy, cantrips signal a world where magic is common, but contained. Cyberpunk, they might have revealed how corrupted or personalized tech can become. Maybe in post-apocalyptic worlds, minor psychic abilities or even glitches in ancient machines could have a divine gift. When players ask, "What can I do for free?" Cantrips answers this much. They define what's possible at the ground level of the world, which means they're not just mechanics, they're tone setters, world building tools, and even cultural details. So, are cantrips only for spellcasters in fantasy robes? Not anymore, not in this day and age. Whether you're tinkering in a smoggy steampunk lab, navigating the neon skylines in a cyber city, or exploring the dark corridors of a semi-lit spaceship, cantrips can still thrive. Under a new name, new source, or even a new aesthetic. Tiny powers are everywhere, and they can easily tell a big story. And thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Noah's Nest. If you like this and want to hear more, check out everything that we have done in the past. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you find podcasts. We have social media if you want to check us out. I'm still terrible at trying to post, I know. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all at Creatures and Cantrips or Creature Cantrip. Trying to get better at posting and everything else. But hey, thank you all for listening to this week's episode. Really appreciate everything you guys do, checking us out, and sharing, liking, commenting, and all that other stuff. Really do appreciate it. And the last thing I'll say for this episode is see you, love you, miss you. Bye, guys.